Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Emerald City Sports, the podcast. Josh, we both have sore throats right now. So, if you're listening to
Yes.
this, just don't be surprised if you hear a couple coughs here and there or just our voices
I'll try to mute
sounding
my mic, but yeah.
sounding very scratchy. Um, but it was not a very good weekend for Seattle sports.
Blame
Let's
it
just
on the Seahawks. Both are sore throats on the Seahawks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all Seattle sports fault. We screamed a little bit too much in anger, and now we're both kind of sick with sore throats. Josh, I think I'll get some cough drops, and we can both just suck on them at school tomorrow. That'll be fine.
That's what she
Maybe we'll
said.
feel okay, Josh. Okay, we'll feel a little better after that. But let's jump right in. I mean, yeah, Seattle Sports was very rough, and it really all started. And well, I guess you could say the cherry on top of that was the Seahawks, who got absolutely whooped by the Los Angeles Rams. It was a tale of two halves. Seahawks sorta, kinda had the first half in their hands, but then the Rams just absolutely whooped them in the second half. Complete domination by Matthew Stafford and company. We got shut out in the second half, got like 10 yards total in the second half. Both of our tackles went down in the second half. We kept getting torched on third down in the second half. It was not a good day to be a Seattle sports fan, especially a Seahawks fan. Josh, just a really rough game overall. I mean, at this point, I don't think we'll ever say the Seahawks will beat the Rams again because the Rams are always giving us a tough time. What did you think of this game?
What did I think? What did I Come on. Not good. Just to say the least. Not like our offensive line completely being destroyed, and now for the next few weeks we have to deal with a brand new offensive line over who knows if it could be Geno Smith, it could be Drew Luck. Two third downs did horribly, 2 for 9, and 180 total yards for the entire game. Didn't score a point after the first half, and I think that momentum started after Jason Myers missed that a doinker to end the half.
Okay, yeah. Now it's just now that you mentioned Jason Myers, I also gotta say I am never trusting Jason Myers with a field goal again. He is the most inconsistent kicker I've ever seen in my time as watching. Okay, besides Blair Walsh, but Blair Walsh is another story. Steven Hauschka was solid. Seabass
What about
was
Janikowski?
solid.
You
Yeah, I
forgot
was
about
gonna say
Janikowski.
Seabass was
Okay.
solid. But Jason Myers is just so many question marks. I mean, one year he nails every field goal. The next year he keeps doinking and missing and barely squeezing it in. This year it seems like it's more of the same. I mean, I shouldn't be pressed over a kicker, but we could have gone into halftime with a 9-point lead. And like you said, that could have been a momentum shift. That would have hyped us up. Coming into halftime with a bigger lead, coming out playing lights out, hopefully. But that doink, like you said, probably uh, made an impact in that locker room and not in a good way. So, I mean, if we wanted to blame somebody, we could blame Jason Myers. But man, like, and even when he does make field goals, he like barely squeezes it through. It's not drilled down the middle. It's like off to the side, a couple inches away from hitting the crossbar. That's how he makes his field goals. It's just, man, I don't think I can ever trust Jason Myers kicking because I would just get a heart attack every time he kicks that ball up into the uprights. It is just scary to see. But let's go back to the offense and the defense. I mean, we got to talk about the defense here. When Bobby Wagner, in his first game back, makes 19 tackles, and by the way, probably like 90% of those tackles were beyond the line of scrimmage, him just run stopping. When he makes 19 tackles, you know something is up with this team. I mean, Josh, what does this defense have to do every single year? They just seem like the same old defense every single time. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, same old defense can't stop the run at all, and well, yeah, also can't stop the pass. So we can't do either of that. I think the only reason we haven't completely run on the ground was because of Bobby Wagner just being that big guy just to stop the holes. That's it. Also, actually missed a lot of tackles as well because the Rams know about him because he shared all his secrets with all of his defensive former defensive teammates as well as the team. So Bobby Wagner sharing all this insight actually helped Rams not only on the offense but also as the defense as well.
I mean, you got a good point there. But then also, Bobby brought what he learned from the Rams offense to the Seahawks defense, right? And they still gave up 30 points. They got torched every single time. How do you get torched by Puka Nakua? Like, that's the most random wide receiver ever. But, like, props to that guy. He was torching our secondary. He was torching Tariq Woolen, too. Like, that one, I think it was like, yeah, it was like the fourth quarter when they mostly had the game sealed. He burned Woolen by, like, 2 steps. Like 2 steps on a deep ball. And lucky Matthew Stafford overthrew him because if Puka Nakua caught that, man, that would have been just embarrassing for Tariq Woolen. Because Puka Nakua that whole time was just tossing that Seahawks secondary around like a little toy. 10 catches for 119 yards to a guy that's not Cooper Kupp. If it was Cooper Kupp, I'd understand. Well, this is a guy who none of us had ever heard of until he started getting those 10 receptions. This defense really has an issue, and Clint Hurt and Pete Carroll really need to fix something up because if they don't, I mean, one of them could really get fired. But Josh, let's look over at the offense here. Uh, a very, very, very lackluster second half performance. I mean, every single time they had a drive, it pretty much ended 3-and-out every single time. And then on the last drive, it was just embarrassing. What, like 2 sacks, a DK, unsportsmanlike conduct, which we'll mention later. What happened to that offense in the second half? I mean, having the 2 tackles really shook things up a little, but even with that, I mean, they couldn't even get 10 yards on like 4 different drives.
Yeah, you can blame on the offensive line a little bit. I mean, most important, probably the most important players on the offense. Try to make sure the QB is safe. I think yes, Geno Smith didn't have that time. Um, I think Lockett just got. I mean, he got 2 receptions to start the game, and then that's it. I mean, as a guy who had to primarily focus on him because he was on my fantasy team this week, uh, yeah, he just got locked down over and over again. And then Geno Smith either just had to dump it off because he didn't have enough time to look at the open wide receivers, or try to overthrow it to DK Metcalf. Which isn't gonna work
There
every single
were
time.
there were a couple third downs in there where you could have really just thrown short. I think it was like 3rd and 4 or something. We could have thrown it short.
Yeah,
He decided to throw a fade to Metcalf that was like out of bounds and stuff
that
like
was
that.
overthrown. Yeah.
That really bummed me because like we could have gotten that first down, just pick up 4 or 5 yards. We get that first down, but they wanted to go deep. It's giving those Russell Wilson flashbacks from like what 2017, 2018, where just chuck it down the field on 3rd down. It's not the best way. We've learned that before, but they still did it. Another thing about this team really is the attitude. We got to talk about it here. When you're down like 27-13 and you know you've lost, that's not a reason to show an attitude. Metcalf literally injured a cornerback. He injured a former Seahawk, by the
Yeah.
way, Akello Witherspoon. He took a cheap shot at Akello Witherspoon because he was pissed. Okay, yes, the Rams sideline was talking a lot of trash that entire game, and I myself thought they needed to be humbled a little, but not in that way. I was thinking humbling as in Metcalf burns a cornerback for another touchdown or something, not give a cheap shot to a cornerback and he injures his rib. That is not the way to do things. I mean, like at the end of the game, they just kept getting penalty after penalty after penalty because they were getting so frustrated, and this really does kind of go back to culture here. I mean, if they're going to be acting this way, it does show that Pete Carroll really isn't controlling his players the way he should be. It's like he's letting them run free and run wild. He needs to discipline them a little more. They need to know. I know he talked to Metcalf after, but he needs to make sure these guys stay in check and stay focused, because if they lose that little bit of focus, we're gonna get slapped with another 15-yard penalty, and it will screw us over, just like it did on Sunday with the Rams. Josh, I mean, any other words with this game? I know it's really rough. Well, do you, even though it's one game, how much has your confidence lowered in this team?
So for the game notes, Tyler Lockett actually dropped his first end zone target of his career. I was actually surprised on a play that actually could have been PI, though. Yeah, the refs let them play. Mm, Metcalf, like, his attitude needs to change. I actually haven't heard of a fine for DK. I feel like
Yeah,
that
I'm
actually deserves a
surprised.
fine, or some, or like he probably, if the refs had reviewed it, he could have gotten ejected for that. I'm surprised for that, though. Maybe the refs were hearing all the trash talk or anything.
That's true.
And then the confidence, um, heartbreaker.
Josh, if we win, you need to make that, the way it was before. If we lose, then you can
And you
keep it
fix
that
it, a
way.
little bit of
Yeah,
tape, a little duct tape.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am pretty sure Josh punched the wall after the game, and he broke that. He broke that. I feel like that's something Josh might have done, but that's just me. I don't know. Josh was there to witness himself do it, so I'll leave it up to Josh.
Yeah, I kind of broke it a little. Yeah.
Also, what was also really sad about this game? The fact that Michael Dixon had like two amazing punts, and they both ended up being touchbacks because, you know, the Gunners couldn't get there on
And
time,
save it.
or that, yeah, oh man, that was rough. That was also really hard to watch. Isn't it sad that my one takeaway from this game is that I thought the Seahawks new tunnel looked really cool? Like, that's sad. If I can't find any
Yeah.
positives, that's really sad. Besides the one touchdown we had, there was really no other positives in that game besides the tunnel and the lasers and the new LED lights and the fact that they can high five the fans when they walk out now. That's the only thing I saw that was cool. That's pretty sad. But it's the first game, shaking off that rust a little bit. The problem with that is we have an even worse test next week because we fly over to the Motor City and face the 1-0 Chief beating Detroit Lions. If we play the same way we played against the Rams in this game, we're getting shut out. Because Detroit squeaked out a win against the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. Though, yes, Kadarius Toney had rocks for hands. Um, you still got to give kudos to the Lions for being able to pull that off. I mean, they have a great culture. They have a great team. They have a great coach. They have a solid defense. And if the Seahawks can't play up to the standard, I mean, it is going to be a rough showing. Josh, what do the Seahawks need to do to be in contention against the Lions?
Probably just regroup physically and mentally, right? Just blue, probably what could be the easiest game in the start of the season. Going against a team that has come out of nowhere, so a little bit of a surprise, and is a lot
I
more tougher. I mean, a little bit, I guess, but you just have that DK Metcalf thing that has just brought this team like vibe, like just down offensive line. We've literally just been talking about how the Seahawks downfall can literally stumble into the rest of the season. And that could start with the Lions. This could start a fall, or can they regroup and beat literally another former Rams quarterback in Jared Goff?
I mean, Jared Goff does have the Hawks number when you think about it. And then also, man, that defense is just really tough to play against. I mean, what? Hutchinson, um, that secondary is also really dangerous. I
Yeah,
mean,
Hutchin. Yeah,
they were
just
playing really well. They mostly kept Mahomes in check. Though, like I said before, Kadarius Toney had hands rocks for hands. They still did a solid job. So I mean, this Detroit Lions team is really menacing. Now you said they were like a surprise team. I wouldn't I wouldn't say they were a surprise team. I was by like
surprising to
last year.
beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's true.
I
But
mean,
last year, I mean, when it was like that three-way race between us, Green Bay, and them, I mean, a lot of people were thinking that they would get in. I mean, they were a very menacing team too. I would honestly say they were better than us last year. They just couldn't find that switch at the start of the season, while we did. Um, so it is going to be a really tough game. I mean, the defense really needs to change how they play. I mean, it's going to be tough because this is probably going to be a pass heavy team. I mean, they saw that the Seahawks played a lot better against the run against the Rams than they did in the past. So Jared Goff is probably going to air it out, which is why I'm starting him in fantasy this week, in my family league. But I had to put that in there.
who's your
But
other
then
backup?
also
Who's your backup?
Deshaun Watson. Why would I
Oh,
put Deshaun Watson?
I don't
I'm
know.
not putting Bill Cosby on the starting lineup. Okay? But I mean, they're gonna air it out a
You
lot,
don't
and they
put
have solid
players.
weapons. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, are we gonna have a segment for fantasy or anything?
We will. We'll talk
You
about
are
our
a
other
hard.
league.
I mean, we don't have to.
We'll talk
I
about
don't
it.
know
We'll
if
talk
people
about it.
want
We'll
to
talk
listen.
about it.
But if you are a hardcore fan, I limit myself this: you do not put opposing team of your
That's
favorite
true.
player on the starting lineup. Especially quarterback, especially the starting team quarterback, because every time your um, defense gets killed, you get points, but you feel very guilty about it because you lose, you
Well,
probably would still lose your
okay.
league because it's the Seahawks, and then you don't get, and you get your favorite team loses and everything. Like
No,
I
well,
mean, the quarterback as well when they get like nearly the same amount of points. It's
when the Seahawks play, I just forget about fantasy. Like fantasy doesn't matter at that point. Maybe after the game, I'll check fantasy and see what happens. But during the game, I don't really
in the
care.
back of the mind.
It's
It's
in
in
the
the
back of
back.
my head. I
You
don't
see
really care.
Jared Goff throw a touchdown against the Seahawks. You feel all depressed, but you're like, yeah, I get 6 points to beat.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. I don't care. I don't care. I'll put Jared Goff in there. It's the strategy of it, right? Not that I mean, come on. Let's be real here. He's probably gonna torch our pass defense because if we played the same way we did against wide receivers like Puka Nakua, how do you think we're gonna handle Amon-Ra St. Brown and Marvin Jones? Like that's gonna be a tough challenge for this pass defense, and I don't think they're gonna be able to hold up because they clearly couldn't do that against the Rams without Cooper Kupp. But that's just me, Josh. What about the offense though? I mean, they really need to play a complete game because they played like a semi-complete game. Like the first couple of drives against the Rams, you were thinking like, "Oh
yeah.
yeah, this is the same old offense that we had last year. This is feeling great." And then the second half, they just hit a brick wall. So what do they need to do on offense?
Oh, often. Yeah, I don't. Probably would be. I think like maybe turning it into more of like a West Coast short pass offense instead of those deep balls. Give everyone to spread out, maybe even cross it like in like that 10-yard zone, and then just throw it to whoever who's open. I think Geno Smith is capable of that, and then just drive on down the field, and then mixing that rushing in because you'll get those 5 yards every play or so. And you can squeeze in the run, and then it can. There's a lot of potential there here because we can got a good yak receiver in Metcalf here.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a very tough matchup, and honestly, it's gonna be so hard to just see if they can even pull out or even be close. So, I mean, Josh, what's your prediction for this game?
Prediction. Let's be realistic here because I have to try to nail this here. Just 30-13 Lions. Same thing again. Same
Oh,
exact story. We're gonna wake up at 10 a.m. I'm gonna sleep in because I've been like I'm gonna have a really busy weekend,
I'm
and then we're just gonna
I
get beat up again.
personally am gonna sleep in too because this is the day after I run a cross country invite and I will be absolutely cooked. Um, I won't say 30-13 because I think the Seahawks they have a very good record with playing 10 a.m. games on the East Coast. But I do think the Detroit Lions will be a little bit too much for us, and we will start the season 0-2. We will lose this game, I say 30-24. I think we're gonna get a
Oh,
little
you
bit
you think
more.
we're gonna score that many
I
points?
think we're gonna get a little bit. We're gonna get moving a little bit, but man, that defense is just gonna be our cancer for this game because they're gonna get torched again, like they did last time. Because I mean, these weapons are just way better than the what the Rams had. I mean, their wide receiver core is already like what 10 teams better, 10 teams higher, whatever. I mean, Amonra, if Tariq can lock him down, we will feel better about it. But then also, I mean, Goff has so many other options to throw to, and our defense just can't handle all of it. And it's gonna
I
be a
th-
rough
I
performance
think
to watch.
I think we can. I think the Seahawks defense might just like might be able to like show up to these improved wide receivers, get used to it. The defense has been playing against Metcalf and Lockett. I think the Seahawks defense just might be able to like show up and improve against these better wide receivers. But you know what team can actually show up to their competition? The Seattle Mariners, baby.
Hey, perfect transition, perfect transition, because man, that
Okay,
AL
no,
West,
no,
that
never mind.
AL West
Maybe the
race
past
is
series.
yeah, that AL West race is something else though. The last time we were here, the Mariners were doing pretty well. I mean, they were up there. They had the division for a little bit, and now they're back in third because it was a little bit of a rough stretch there. A little bit. I mean, what? They lost a series against the Rays. They lost a series against the Reds, but they did win the series against the Angels. So I mean, that was something. But man, now that race is so tight. I mean, what are they like the third spot in the wild card now? They're kind of hanging out. I mean, the Blue Jays are right behind them. This is very very close, Josh. I mean, it's gonna be a wild ride to the finish. What do you think?
Yeah, wild ride. Schedule's getting a lot more tougher than the record breaking August where we had so many games against the A's, games against the Royals and stuff. Here we got actual competition, and unlike the Seahawks, the Mariners can actually sort of show up to
Sort
their
of. Yeah.
competition, sort of, sort of. I mean that road trip sucked. I mean, lost, yeah, lost against the Rays, lost against the Reds, lost against the Mets, three road Eastern series. Um, Even having to do a bullpen day, which was kind of weird, skipping Brian Wu. Uh, but it did show Otani in his final series in Seattle as an angel before he'll come to
For
Seattle,
real.
of course. Yeah, by coming back after that 11 inning loss that actually took us out of the playoff spot for like a day or two before we're able to win. We were able to win the spot. Rangers took down the Blue Jays. Um, I mean that was kind of a weird series, as if the Rangers won and the Blue Jays gone, but now we have to catch up to the Rangers again. But they did lose Max Scherzer as well, and then Houston's just up there, and I think they'll, unless we can be able to like sweep him or 3-1
Hey, it could happen.
against the Astros in that first series, they're just gonna take over and just lock it up in like last season.
I mean,
And
it's only 1.5 games. There's still what 16 games left this season. We've still got time to catch up to them. I mean, like you said, if we sweep them, we have a really good shot at it. But Josh, I mean that I could ask. I mean, do you trust Andres Munoz at the closer position? Have they moved him yet? I don't. I feel like they still have him there,
yes,
right?
and as he's played more as closer, he's helped control his pitches, helped control his velocity and stuff. And he's actually starting to get good at it, which is the perfect time. I mean, to do it against some
Yeah,
mild
it is. Yeah.
competition.
Um. You can keep going, keep going. I thought you were gonna keep going.
Oh no, I don't. Oh, I thought yeah, he was just mild competition, and he's improved and stuff, and he's actually helped us lock down games against the Angels. He was able to do it, except at 11 inning fiasco that I don't really want to talk about. Um, yeah,
I mean, it's just those fiascos that really kind of set the debate on fire. Cause whenever he gets in those like tough situations, it seems like he just can't close the way Seawall did before. I mean, yeah, you like you said, like yesterday, for example, he did really good. Um, but there's also some. I mean, there's a lot of times where he just kind of collapses and then the other team takes over. So it really raises a question. I don't know. I feel like, do you think someone would be better, or is it just his? He's our only option right now. Because I mean, Matt Brash is good as a reliever.
I don't. I don't think so. I was going to say Trent Thornton after looking at his footage, seeing how good he was as a Blue Jay, as well. But I mean that, of course, also the 11 inning fiasco killed it. He could have locked it up, but I think he was the guy who blew that gave up those 3 points, and I don't say anything other than Munoz.
All right. And with these final 16 games, we have a 3 game series against the Dodgers, 3 games against the Athletics, 3 games against the Rangers, 3 games against the Astros, 4 games against the Rangers to end the season. So, I mean, looking at this, I mean, the Dodgers are going to be a really tough competition. The Athletics, we if we sweep them, I think we'll be fine. And then Rangers, Astros, Rangers. It's just that's just huge. Everything's on the line at that point. So Josh, what are you looking for in these final 16 games?
Uh, I think I'm just looking forward to win the games and just I think it's just about to win because we can't make any more mistakes the rest of the way. Astros, who are 1.5 games behind us or ahead of us, which is a lot. I mean, seeing how much it took, like a huge winning streak, just to make it over that hump against the Blue Jays. Um, Astros play 6 games against the Royals before facing us. 6 games. They're gonna win all of them. It's the Royals. They're the Astros. I mean, you got to give it to them. They are the Astros. They are really good. They play in a really good, helpful stadium. Helps them really well. They're gonna win all of those. We have to show up and we have to do it against really, really good team in the Dodgers. And a really good team against the Rangers, and then just not choke it against the Athletics. Like we can't give up these stupid games against the Angels. We can't just like one game away. We have to do this in order not just to win the division, but just to literally stay alive. Because if we mess up just once, Blue Jays are in. We're out.
Yeah, it all comes down to this. It is going to be a wild ride to the finish for us Manners, and definitely at least 10 heart attacks on the way there. Keep on. Oh man, this is actually gonna be a little stressful. It's coming. It's like 16 games. It's like an old NFL season. It's gonna be coming down to the wire. It's gonna be absolutely huge. Man, I really hope the Mariners don't fumble because it would did if they do. Everyone's just gonna say same old Mariners, and we don't want that because this is a new era of Seattle Mariners baseball, and we need to prove it to the world. Well, okay, not the world, to the country. That this is a new era. Okay, we have wiped out the old, and we are in with the new. We need to show this to the U.S. Show that the Mariners are truly a threat, and that means series by series, got to take and chip away those wins. Now, Josh, let's go to some college football here. Because I
Ooh.
know the Huskies and the Beavers are both doing pretty dang well out there. I mean, isn't it hilarious how when the Pac 12 is about to disband, that's when all the teams start to become good? Isn't
Yeah.
that's just, come on. Like, you could have done it maybe 3 years earlier when we kind of needed it. But nope, because they just I don't know, man. But what? Like there are how many teams? USC, Colorado, Oregon, Oregon State, UCLA, Utah, UW, and Wazoo are all undefeated right now. I mean that's pretty good. And so many aren't. How many of these teams are in the top 25? I'm pretty sure there were like
8.
eight. All eight of them are in the top five, right? I mean top
20
25. Top
wait,
25.
25. 8
All
teams are in the top 25.
that is the most in college football right now. I'm pretty sure because SEC has like five teams and it's just the
5.
same five
Yes.
every year. So I mean, dang man, right when the Pac-12 is being good again, that's when everyone's gonna leave. That does suck. But the Huskies and the Beavers are doing pretty dang good. Let's talk about our Huskies first. Jacob and my Huskies. All right, number 8 in the nation. We beat Boise State on the second, which by the way, guys, Josh was cheering for Boise State. Um, and then we beat Tulsa pretty comfortably, also 43-10 in a game which, man, oh man, Michael Penix really just shows why he's a Heisman candidate. I mean, 409 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did get a pick, but we don't need to talk about that. But then also, I think UW might have the best wide receiving core in the country. Like, dude, they are just insane. Like, look, Jalen McMillan had 120. Odunze had 107. Our boy Polk had 5 catches for 81 yards. I mean, that trio right there, it's already insane enough. But you also got, like, the tight end in Westover. And then when you have a gunslinger like Michael Penix, you are set. I mean, and then also, like, the defense only holding Tulsa. I know it's Tulsa, but only to 10 points is still really impressive. We do have a test this week, though, in Michigan State, Kenneth Walker's old school. But I think if we just play the way we did against these other unranked teams, we should be fine. Even though Michigan State is 2-0 and we'll be facing them a lot once we get into the Big Ten, I think we can also handle this pretty comfortably. But Josh, let's go over to the number 16 ranked Oregon State Beavers. I mean,
Let's
a
go.
42-17 dub against San Jose State, then a 55-7 whooping of UC Davis. Now you face San Diego State. What is going on over there in Oregon?
Um yeah. A lot of things has happened. Getting former Clemson quarterback DJ, and I'm not gonna pronounce his last name, so because I am going to get that wrong. Um, but yes, teams have beat up on a bunch of lower FBS and FCS teams, but I think Oregon State here actually can show something. We already know UW can do it with Penix and stuff. There was a lot of uncertainty of Beavers, and we showed up. We pounded them. DJ worked perfectly into our system, and we just pounded these guys, getting even like a punt return, a bunch of special team plays, and a lot of points. And we'll play against San Diego State, which is just going to be a teensy bit tougher. Going to be mincemeat for the Oregon State Beavers. Unlike Washington, where there's actually a slim chance they might actually get beat up.
Looking out at the other Pac-12 teams, Josh, I talked with Jacob about this in our last episode, but do you think Colorado is legit?
I think Colorado's legit. I think it's, I haven't seen them play badly yet. It does not look like there's any flaws for now that it can be beat up in any way. I mean, Travis Hunter, right? Yeah. Both sides of the ball,
Yeah, he's
and
insane.
he's able to perform great against literally TCU and Nebraska. I mean, that's probably a pretty hard schedule to start the season. I think Colorado State is finally like some bye week, and then they start with Oregon. I think like there's a legit chance they can actually handle it, and I honestly think they can beat up Oregon when they start Pac-12 play. Like they look like a great
Wow.
unstoppable team. The way you can actually
Yeah,
beat them is if you
I
put
will.
up a lot of points, which TCU did. Yeah.
I will say, yeah, I think they have a good shot at Oregon, but I still am not on the Colorado train yet. I still feel like media's meat riding them a little bit too much. I feel like once they hit USC, they're gonna kind of hit a brick wall there. Cause I personally want to see USC just whoop Colorado so that everyone can be quiet. Cause it's been all Colorado. No one gave a rat's poop about Colorado a year ago. And then Coach Prime came in, and now everyone loves Colorado, and everyone's putting their attention on Colorado. Like, this is a team that
Prime is a good coach.
Prime is,
I will say
yes,
that.
Prime is a good coach, but this is a team who was at the bottom of the Pac-12 for a while now.
It doesn't matter. The entire team left.
That's true.
50 or
And then he
50,
filled
60
them in
plus
with his
transfers. It
own.
doesn't
I
matter. We
still
can't
feel
use
like
any of
I, s-
Colorado's past experiences to
I still feel like
show what's going to happen this
that's true.
season.
That's true. But I
'Cause
still feel like
they already
everyone
passed
hypes them up too
this team's
much.
winning.
I mean, they're look, even though TCU and Nebraska might seem like good teams, I mean, these two are unranked. Well, I feel like once they play the Pac-12, like the legit Pac-12 teams, like Oregon State or USC or Washington, I feel like that's where they're gonna oh well, they're not gonna play Washington. What am I saying? But when they play like USC and Oregon, that's when they have to face some tough stuff. That's where they need to find out if they are a true legit team or not. Because right now, I'm still not on that bandwagon. I feel like too many people are hyping them up. But that's just me. I don't
I
know.
mean, if they can beat Oregon, if they can beat like Oregon, basically the rest of the schedule is basically gimmies here. Except US, Oregon and USC. After that, just gimmies. Arizona State, come on. Obviously they can beat them. Stanford, come on, yeah.
How about your
US,
Oregon State?
I legitimately think that if they stay undefeated when they walk into that game, we are absolutely screwed. I I think that.
I'm
I
bummed that the
believe
Huskies.
that we could actually be
I'm
maybe a
bummed.
little bit competitive, but yeah.
I'm bummed the Huskies aren't playing um, Colorado this year because I really wanted to
You'll
see
never
us.
play them again.
I mean, I really wanted to see us shush the Sanderses and Travis Hunter up. I wanted to see that happen, but it is what it is.
You don't need to shush anybody, Martin. You'll just get shushed by Michigan State this Saturday, and then we can
Wow.
end
Okay.
all
Okay.
CFP
Okay.
discussion
They're
for the
unranked
Pac-12
Michigan State.
championship.
They're the irrelevant Michigan team. Okay. Everyone likes the blue and yellow, not the green and white. No one cares about the green and white. I will say it. I will eat my words.
Says your own high school.
No, we're green and purple. What do you mean?
We're technically green and white, same logo and everything. I mean, come on.
I'm not talking about our school though. I'm talking about Michigan here. I'm talking about Michigan State. Come on. If we lose to Michigan, then you can laugh at me a ton. But I'm like 99% sure we're not. Come on. We have
Hey
high
guys,
we
let's
have
clip this baby. Can't wait to turn this into a YouTube short.
we have
Uh,
we have
when are we posting the next episode? A week from now.
we have Heisman candidate Michael Penix Jr., okay? I think we should be fine. And he
Former
hasn't been
Heisman
crazy.
candidate.
We have he's a Heisman candidate this year. Let's be real. And he
Candidate,
has
not possible winner.
he's
Just
a
just
possible
candidate.
winner. He's a possible winner. If he continues to play the way he played against Tulsa and Boise State, he's a possible winner. Let's be real. Come on. Come on.
Georgia just goes
Don't sleep
undefeated again. You don't
don't
think?
sleep on Michael Penix. Don't sleep on Michael Penix. Now that we talk about, now you mentioned like Georgia and all the big name teams. What about what about Clemson? What is happening to
Yeah,
Clemson right
Clemson.
now? What is a Dabo Swinney? He can't do anything without Deshaun or Trevor Lawrence apparently, because that was really
Or
embarrassing.
DJ. Yeah,
That's true.
it wasn't DJ.
That was
Just
pretty
prove that.
embarrassing. That was pretty embarrassing. What? Yeah, they got their butts kicked against Duke. I mean, even though they destroyed Charleston or whatever. I mean, Charleston Southern is not a respectable win. Come on. You lost 28-7 against Duke. That is not good. Oh, Clemson. That is very, very unfortunate. What a fall from grace for Clemson. How sad. How sad. But yeah, college football is heating up right now. Huskies for the win. Huskies for the win. I cannot wait until we play Oregon State. the day before my birthday. Because if they win, that's a pretty dang nice birthday present, Josh. Just expect a call from me laughing in your face. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. All right,
Okay.
let's
Yeah,
let's let's
I'm gonna write that down then. Okay.
let's talk a little bit of fantasy here. Let's talk about our league with the guys from SBC. Even though I am absolutely sucking. Uh, because I got my butt
Aw.
destroyed by Jacob. He pulled up like 97 points and I only scored 60 because I had Geno Smith at QB.
Yeah.
And I had like Josh Jacobs who did mid. Mixon did mid. McLaurin barely did anything. Smith Schuster did mid. Waller did mid. Sky Moore got .4. I could have put in Romeo Dubes or Dobbs. And then,
Could have put a Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
bruh, stop.
Yeah. I
Should have put
traded
in
you that
should
guy.
have put in Romeo Dobbs. But then also, Josh, you won your game. Even though you had
Yep.
Dak Prescott QB and he barely did anything because it was just an easy game for him. You got a good amount from Garrett Wilson, but then also because your opponent had Daniel Jones. So, I mean, you
And
got
he started Travis Kelce.
yeah. And then what? Kareem Pies had Tua and Tony Pollard and Michael Pittman. So of course he got the win there. Wazoo Goats, solid win with Deshaun Watson, even though he got even though he got .9 from Antonio Gibson, he still won because Dubai Downies had. I don't know why you start Zach Charbonnet. Why?
Oh, okay. I don't get
Interesting.
that. No.
Interesting. Did anyone have the Cowboys defense? I need to see that.
Someone did have Cowboys defense. I
Let's
remember them.
find who that was.
I found it. I love my cousins with a 129.76 win over Obi-Wan
Jeez.
Homie 77.74. Alice 35 points. 2 touchdowns. 2
Who
interceptions.
who had Mr. Tyreek Hill? Oh, Seattle Ravens did.
They
Bro,
allowed they shut him out. That's 5 points. Block punt return 6 points. 2 interceptions. That's 2 points
it's
each.
amazing, bro.
1 fumble. 1 blocked punt. 7 sacks. A pick 6. And only allowed less than 200 yards. That combines to 35 points.
That's
That
gotta be
scored
a fantasy record.
more than Kirk Cousins. Yeah. I mean, he even started Chase Claypool a big fat goose egg and still won. His bench was a little bit crazy though. Robert Woods, Derek Carr. I mean, yeah. Pretty good bench for him and puts out a win and uh lucky
Yeah.
with the defense, I guess. And now he's gonna roll with it for the rest of the season. And that's
Maybe that defense will collapse someday. We'll see
he
what happens.
moves he moves to third in the final standings. Let's check the finals
Standing
fantasy trends
projections.
presented by Snickers. Kareem Pies, number 1. Miami Dolphins, I can't read number 2. I love my cousins aforementioned number 3. Wazoo Goats jumping from 11 to 4. White Warriors number 5. Boy, Ingolstadt forever. 18 jump all the way, highest trending already to 6th. I did my draft day work. I traded a lot. I mean, I picked up Jonathan Taylor and Jeff Wilson, which isn't good because this league only has 1 IR spot. So I have to put Taylor on like the IR and then just sit Jeff Wilson right next to Alex Collins, by the way. Rest in peace to him.
Yeah.
So I basically 2 zeros on my bench already, which is not good. Ravens a 7. And then Darnell Mooney, Jacob, rounding out the top 8 of our league. Where is Martin?
I'm at a
Oh,
solid
there
15th. As long as I'm
drops
not
from
last,
13
I'm
to
okay.
15.
I was pretty unlucky with my drafting. You guys took all the players I
Because
wanted,
for
and I was
those of you
pissed.
who don't know, last place fantasy punishment is you have to get $100 on a stand in the middle of winter. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be hard.
As long as I don't get last, I will be very happy. This week I'm facing what Obi-Wan Mahomey. I'm
Mm.
starting Geno Smith and Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon. I'm putting Puka Nakua in my starting lineup, by the way, because Juju, I don't trust that guy, man. And he's playing Miami. So I trust my boy Puka Nakua. He's gonna every time I like put in a player who did really good the week before, they just end up fumbling, and it's so sad. Every time, even the best players, it happens, and it's really annoying. So hopefully Puka can change that. I'm also putting Romeo Dobbs into my flex because he also did really good last week. I want to see how he does this week against Atlanta. That should be a good matchup for him, especially since I mean the Packers still own the Bears, so that's pretty nice for them. Josh, who are you playing this week?
I'm playing against Ray Rice's elevator, and he's
Oh, that's a wild name. That is a wild name.
he has already played Devontae Smith and DeAndre Swift, both playing in
Wow,
tonight's Thursday night football
they had a
matchup,
good.
and already 49.7 points out of two players. And with my team having a low scoring offense and literally having Dak Prescott or Zach Wilson to QB my
Zach
team,
Wilson for the win, bro.
I picked up Zach Wilson on that waiver wire
Zach
because
Milson for
Aaron
the
Rodgers was.
win.
I might put him in though.
Who's he
they're
playing?
playing against each other. I don't know which
Oh,
QB to choose. That's not gonna be
no, Prescott's
good.
gonna get. I feel like Prescott's gonna throw like at least 2 interceptions during that game because that Jets. You have to admit that Jets defense is good. I mean, what? Sauce Gardner. I have to give Sauce my due now. That sucks. Jordan Whitehead, DJ Reed, and then that D line is just stacked too. I mean, they made Josh Allen throw 3 interceptions, and what? He like fumbled too. So I I mean, it's actually going to be a pretty low scoring game, honestly, because Dallas's defense is also coming off a crazy week one. So I feel like you're gonna it's gonna be a lose
I
lose
get
no
crushed.
matter who
Yeah.
you pick up. Let's see what other QBs are on the waiver wire. Yeah, Baker Mayfield. You can always pick up Baker Mayfield.
No thanks.
Wait,
I think I'm.
why do they still have Tom Brady?
Yeah, they still have Tom Brady
Or
just
you?
in case he comes back. So like in dynasty leagues and whatever, you can
how
toss him,
about
put it on your.
how about Joshua Dobbs? Why not? Kind of looks like
I
Megamind,
don't think.
honestly. I don't know about you. I think he looks like Megamind. Yeah, Mayfield or Tannehill or Joshua Dobbs. That's kind of all you have at this point, Josh. Because
That's it.
I think it's a lose lose, no matter who you pick, Prescott or Wilson. I need
Yep.
to win. I need to win this week. I cannot start the season 0-2, or else I am.
Just like the Seahawks.
Yay. So, Geno Smith, please help me in this league, please. I need you to
And
not.
that's how we'll
I
end
need
the
you to not write
podcast.
back. Yeah, that's the end of our podcast. Me praying Geno Smith won't sell, but I promise I won't be one of those weird fantasy football guys who like go into the players' GMs and ask them why they're not scoring enough points. Like I'm not gonna sink that low, guys. Never ever sink that low when you're playing fantasy football because that is very uncool. Don't be like that. Public service announcement. All right, we're gonna end our episode right there. We'll see you guys next week. Where we will recap week 2. Also, keeping up with the Mariners and their wild AL West chase, wild card chase. It's gonna be a wild month of Seattle sports, ladies and gentlemen, and we will be here for you, covering all of it. We'll see you guys next time. Go Hawks, go Mariners, go all Seattle sports. Stay tuned.